So hey, Dallas here with Rabbi Jason, and we are standing in the actual spot where Jesus commissioned Peter. That's the term we use, right? He commissioned him when he called him in Luke 5. He not only did this miracle of what we all know as the casting of the nets, where he captured a multitude of fish when Peter had spent all night struggling. Why is this specific spot significant?
This was a foundational part of the economy, was fishing here on the Sea of Galilee. This spot we're standing in right now is known as a tabga, which means the place of the 7 springs. There were 7 springs that fed into the Sea of Galilee at this location, which is really significant on a number of levels. I mean, number 1, 7 is the number of fullness. It's the number of perfection, 7 days of creation. God created the world.
My friends call me 7 because I'm just, it's his number of perfection.
I'm sure your wife believes that.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Now, I think another interesting thing is that as a young man, every young man in this area would have been educated in the scriptures, but only the best and the brightest would have been selected by a rabbi to go on to further learning and to become a disciple.
So typically the best students would get the most attention.
Best students would continue on, the others would go and learn a trade.
Okay.
So Peter went and learned a trade, he became a fisherman.
So he wasn't the best student.
So he wasn't the best student or didn't have a passion for it. So for a wonder, miracle working rabbi to come to you and say, follow me, I mean, it's no wonder why he would have dropped his nets. I mean, there wasn't a greater honor. And he says, I'm a sinful man, right? I mean, he recognized, I'm not worthy of this calling. In the book of Acts, they call him ignorant and uneducated man.
Wow. So Jesus wasn't calling the best students. He was calling, in many ways, the people you'd least expect to become disciples.
So the thing about Jesus is that he picked the least likely individuals, but he saw something in them that they couldn't see in themselves or the world couldn't see in. And when Jesus looks at us, he sees things in ourselves, and he calls us and he calls out the best in us.
Let's talk about nets real quick. You've mentioned to me, and I wanted you to hear this, the significance of nets and how that could even be significant today.
Yeah, I mean, the nets were so significant to the trade that they'd be weighted nets, and they would pull them up and the weights would draw the net together and the fish would get caught within those nets. And I think it's so significant because Jesus says, I'm not just going to make you a fisher of fish, I'm going to make you a fisher of men.
Right.
And that wasn't just a calling to Peter, that is a call to each and every one of us.
Right.
I'm so excited because I think to be part of the Chosen in this series, because I believe that in the modern context, that the nets that God is using in this day more than anything to change the world is TV and the media in general. Right. And I believe the Chosen is going to be something God is going to use to catch a lot of fish.
Well, I hope, and I promise I didn't pay him to say this. The primary goal of the Chosen is to, as you said, I hadn't thought of it this way until you just shared it with me. It's another form of a net.
It's a modern form of the net. Right. And the original calling of Peter here goes back to John 21, where they're fishing all night and they catch nothing. And he says, cast the nets a second time, and they catch a large multitude of fish. I believe we're living in a John 21 moment where there's a great catch of fish that is coming, and God is giving us new tools to catch those fish and to reach the world. And that is through programs like The Chosen.
We heard from people who were coming to Christ from watching, and I guess I hadn't thought of it as that's a net.
It's a net.
That's a gathering of followers. So
global net.
Right.
We can reach every part of the world. It is not limited.
Right.